So welcome to every one of you guys. Thank you for taking time and making time for this conversation. I know our listeners are surely going to get out of here with valuable insights on how we can help and contribute as a diaspora to the development of our beloved continent. So I might start with you, Ayman. Until very recently, you were heading the diaspora division of the African Union. You did an amazing job. I know we worked together on the former AfriLabs conference, and I know you've been building bridges between diaspora organizations and African Union member states, creating dialogue and bringing together the Africans in the diaspora and the Africans locally. So, from your perspective, what kind of policies do we need at continent and country level to stimulate repatriation of African diaspora and foster knowledge transfer between what is on the ground on the continent?
Thank you so much, and good morning, everyone. It's morning my end, but good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. We've learned this during COVID. I'm very, very happy to be here with you today. Like Landry, it's good to see you. Of course, Yusuf and Kareem, I've met before, but happy to be on this panel. It's a big question, what you're asking, but you know what I want to do is maybe just break it down, because every time you say policy, people think of very, very big things that are far away and remote from them. So I just want to give an example of how we work in organizations, how we develop these projects, and then how it affects the diaspora, and why some of them are just useful and some are not, right? So a while back, like a few years back, one of the things that African Union wanted to work on, and we realized, of course, that diaspora can bring is this investment and, like economic development to the continent. Everybody is interested in it. There's a lot of people who are passionate about it. And we thought, okay, let's work on this. Let's work on businesses. And we were focusing specifically on small businesses, medium businesses that can't really become bigger businesses. So we thought, we'll upscale these small and medium enterprises or businesses. So we thought, like, we create a training, we help them, develop a plan, we bring all of these angel investors, and that would have been a great idea. So we did that. We've already launched it. We're waiting for applications, and I'm sharing this with a friend of mine who works in business, and I'm very passionate about it. And he said, I understand the value of what you want to do, but that's like a failed business model, because it means that every time you want to have a training, you need to ask for money. And that's not how businesses work. You need to actually have something sustainable. I didn't think about that, obviously, someone who's been within organizations for the longest time. We had the training. It was good because I created that network of business-minded or entrepreneurs that I'm now surrounded with. But what we did later on, fast forward 6 months, is we had COVID. COVID has hit. Everybody in organizations were thinking about, we know that businesses are, accountable of 70% of the economy in Africa, in many countries, but in Africa, minimum 70%, like when we're looking at these businesses, everybody wants to help these businesses. Businesses have started creating all of these PPE materials or like masks, etc. But engaging with this network of businesses, what they said and like what we were thinking about is like, so what do we do? And everybody was thinking post-COVID, and not really post-COVID, because we know that there's, as of now, there's still no post-COVID, but we know that there's a recovery period that should happen. And one of the things we thought about that the African Union can now support with is maybe teach these businesses what they could do when they are faced with such risks. So we asked them, do you have a contingency plan for risk when these things happen? Most of them did not have it, because most of them have lived in a world where it's been really stable. And in Africa, of course, they understood risk, but not in that way where the whole world has shut down. So we created this simulation. This simulation was basically to simulate to businesses based on the current situation, running their business with the plans that they have. How will that affect them? Will they make profit? Will they lose? And then they compare this and they compete against other countries. So it was really a great program. The diaspora were the fuel of this. One, They're the ones who were able to engage with the simulator. And we had the diaspora in the simulator who was able to provide the program. And he basically wanted to support Africa, reduce their cost almost to nil, right? The diaspora hubs that were running this program, like the hubs that were running this program in Africa, were run by diasporas. So that's an example of knowledge transfer. They know how to use the simulation, and they were able to bring others and teach them. And then they were able to simulate this. And we found so many great results out of that. We had very little money for this because everybody was thinking, oh, recovery is like another 5-6 months, and we want to show impact, right? We want to show that we've used this money for something useful. And that's how organizations think. They want to make sure that they report this half year and they report this at the end of the year. And it brought a lot of great impact. One, we made 4 times the money we put in, which came back from Amazon web services, giving all these businesses access to the web services. We managed to get a lot of, to shine a lot of impact, and a lot of organizations are now coming, wanting to invest in the exact same program. Also a habit of organizations, if something is working, they'd invest in it. But what I want to say here is, like, how does that link to policies, right? Like, so we've seen all of this, and how does that link to policies? We want to create a policy to support small businesses, but what sort of policies are we looking for? Do they not have access, or do they have access but don't have people who speak on their behalf? You know, so are they absent when we're speaking about these things? Are they not represented? And then here's where we look at the impact of these businesses, their individual impact, and how it affects these large policies that the African Union are putting, or even just looking at the diaspora policies that we have. When we say that the diasporas can support economic activities, and everybody thinks about investment, about a diaspora fund, which is of course an important issue, but then it doesn't speak about how we actualize or operationalize a lot of these policies. So I think that was a good lesson for everyone, and it was a good lesson for the African Union as well, is that when we speak about businesses and we want to engage businesses, we cannot engage with them in an organizational point of view. Like it has to be run in a very different, this engagement has to be very different. And I'll tell you one thing that's also important. In this engagement, you learn, and I always say this, you have to create these networks of similar people, these networks of like-minded people, networks of partner. The African Union was just a partner, but a lot of businesses don't understand what the African Union can support them with. Do you want exposure, or do you want money, or do you want, like, you need to know that if you want money, African Union is really not your best bet, right? They can give you little money. But if you want exposure, there are, of course, there's a level of exposure that the African Union can give. But if you want to support policies, your best bet is to create these networks of these businesses and come exactly like the African Union. There are 55 member states, come as 55 countries represented in these businesses who have a similar idea. And I would tell you that's why networks such as AfriLab and such have done so well in engaging the African Union. So I'll pause here, Londre. I can't see you. Not sure if you're still there, but maybe I'll pause.
Can you hear me?
Yes. I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Oh, okay, great. Sorry, my network is just poor. So thank you very much for giving us like very practical examples on how you and the African Union were engaging on this topic of engaging the diaspora and fostering knowledge sharing and repatriation on the continent. I'll come back to you with further questions a little bit later, but I have a question for Karim. The main theme of our gathering today is knowledge transfer and collaboration between the African diaspora and the SMEs and startups on the continent. You've been a pioneer in this field. I mean, you have you built one of the biggest network of hubs and innovation spaces on the African continent, with having offices in more than 10 countries, hubs in more than 10 countries. You have provided support to an innumerable number of diaspora entrepreneurs, I being one of them. So can you share a little bit about what are the needs of these entrepreneurs when they come back on the African continent, and how does your organization, Joko Labs, help them regarding these needs in resettling on the African continent? you, Karim.
The thing is, actually, I've been an entrepreneur coming from the diaspora myself, but at that time there were no facility, nothing. I mean, it was really a problem. I was in Canada. I came back first in Mali. So, I mean, even I developed my business in Senegal and other countries. And I mean, it was really difficult. And from there, I always get in mind that if you start as the first entrepreneur, you come with your idea, you need a place where you can start with. And as Ayman say, we need a network actually, because even if we come, we have a family. Now we are not in a family approach, we are in a professional space. So even with the family, you can have competitors that you ignore. So even your relation with the family change, and sometimes you will find more possibility perhaps in other countries than your country. So that's crazy, you know. It's counterintuitive. So you need to open your eyes to all the opportunity. And actually, I think as coming from the diaspora, as you are mixed with a lot of other pairs coming from other countries, you're more open, you are more Pan-African somehow, even if you haven't attached to your country, than just be localized. And you see the world as opportunity. So, and the thing is, you have the link with the continent. I think that's more what makes us African. And then that's why also Jocolabs came as an idea. I say, what can I bring? You know, Jocolab is a philanthropic for me. So we start as funding and say we need to create a facility. And at that time there were none. Facility for entrepreneurs who wants to start, where they can go and be crazy together. And one thing I know, for being involved in a lot of things, and even at the high level, I mean, Ayman talk about exposure, discussion with the political side, but actually when you're a startup, you don't have that exposure. You don't have that capacity to discuss, and you don't have the time actually, because you are struggling every day for the life of your company. So then you need to come and first understand the market. First, a place you can sit and exchange and do your business with electricity, internet, because in some places internet is just a struggle. I know that in Cameroon, I know that the internet is one of the biggest costs on our expense. You know, can you imagine? I mean, in Dakar, it's not the same. So depending on the country, you can. In other countries, like in Mali, it's either internet and either electricity. So you have to struggle for everything. And so if you come just with your idea, you will not invest in all those facilities just to start. You know? So if you can find a place there, this is the first step. Then you can exchange with people. Doing business in Africa is not doing business in the US. It's not doing business in Paris. So you need to understand how the business is done. Even just making business, 80% is informal. So we are not doing the business the same. The relation with the administration is not the same. So actually, you need more tips than just formal explanation. Because if you go to the usual thing, they will say, yeah, you have to go pay your taxes like that, do that, and register like that. And when you do that, you're dead. So this is terrible, because when you say that, all the donors and say, oh no, this is not normal, and the government say you can't say that and things. But the reality is that if you go too formal, you die. So so that's what we found out with our members, you know, and so you need the tips to know how to deal with all those regulations and things, and that's with the people you are around, and that's the idea of the community around Jocolab. So when you come as an entrepreneur, you can exchange and have ideas about the habits, so you can start feeling your business and the potential of your business, and then you start and you try. I mean, that's the thing, because at the end of the day is how we organize the ecosystem, and that's where everybody has his role to play. And I think that's where the African Union, for example, and other donors needs to come and bring the ecosystem to work together, to be in a virtuous exchange instead of competing. That we can have all of the actors, I mean, those from the university, those from the innovation hubs, those from the policy and others and others. So everybody needs to come together and join hands to make a clear path for the entrepreneur, so he can find the solution at every step. And that's the problem, because if not, you have to struggle. I mean, we have a good example with Cedric, who is very good on that. So that's part of the capacity. But at the end, I think more than the soft landing, what we need to build, and thanks to Adife, because they are really working hard on that since the beginning, is how we become a big network of African diaspora and make links. And Joko, the meaning in Wolof is the link, the connection. Because the more we link, the more we're stronger. And the more we can exchange, and this is the new economy actually, on where we can find the best thing for our needs. I mean, when you have Cedric in Marseille, he's taking the best of Marseille and he's open his eyes everywhere. He went to China and other countries, and he take it and then he build this thing for Africa, knowing the market. So you need this now, because we know that we don't have all the technology here, we don't have all the knowledge. So we need to have that, and actually that's what everybody is doing now. So we have talent everywhere. You see, now we are talking. We have one in France, other in Africa, other in Canada, and other countries. So how we build these big networks so we can exchange and take the best of all the place, seeing the world as big, but for the benefits of Africa. That's how we need to perhaps exchange our mindset, and then have places. And that's why we went to France as Jocolab. So as not to bring, it was also to be there and give the capacity to African to go in the French market, because that's also the thing. So we need to have this two-way capacity for entrepreneurs, because the opportunity are everywhere. So that's the first idea.
Thank you very much, Karim. Very insightful comment, and I'll definitely come back on this, and especially the network side. Cedric, we've known ourselves for like, I don't know, 5-6 years. You've been an inspiration to a lot of diaspora entrepreneurs. Robotics at one of the top engineering schools in France. You had like a brilliant career in front of you, but you chose to leave all of that to go into fintech, entrepreneurship, launching a fintech from Marseille, serving the African continent, and not just to relocate back to Cameroon. I know you're in Marseille because your headquarters are there, but you spend most of your time now on the African continent. So can you please share a little bit about the thought process behind you deciding to leave a corporate career and leave the kind of soft life you could have in Marseille to go and hustle on the ground in Douala, Yaoundé, and Cameroon?
Just a short testimony. I mean, I introduced Cedric at the beginning with one of the top banks in France. They didn't understand what he was doing at that time, but the guys was sure of his project. That was great. Yeah. So, and now where is it? So it's good to know.
Thank you so much, Karim. Thank you for the testimony, because that connection was made by you. So thank you for that. Thank you, Landry, for this panel. I firstly want to thank the Adife team, Yusuf, and all the people who are currently working to put this together. And I would like to take one of my 5 minutes to honor one person that I really carry in my heart. It is Karim Safi. I would like us to take one minute of silence for him. Karim Safi was the co-founder of Adife, and I think if he was not working with Yusuf, it wouldn't be possible for us to be here today. So I would like us to take 1 minute for him. Thank you so much for that. Karim Safi was the co-founder of Adife. For those who don't know, who will be watching this video, he unfortunately passed away in a crash between Nairobi and Addis Ababa, fighting for us young entrepreneurs from the diaspora. So that's why it was really important to me to share that small minute for him. So his soul stays in our minds, so we don't forget. It was 2 years ago, so that's also our responsibility to keep carrying that flag forward. So I am Cedric Atangana. I'm the CEO and co-founder of WeCashUp, which is a fintech company based in, we started in Marseille, and our vision is really to build a Pan-African way to move money across the continent. So today, I define WeCashUp as a logistic company. Air France is carrying people to move from France to Mali to Cameroon, etc. We want to be the Air France for your money. So we want to be we want to pick up money from one country to another, etc. So it's a big challenge. It's not an easy thing because the African continent is 1.3 billion people. And we are fragmented, unfortunately, into 54 countries with 42 local regulations, banking regulations. So we have 42 central banks on the continent, which is a big mess, a big challenge for African entrepreneurs. It is easy for me to move money from Cameroon to France than moving money from Cameroon to Senegal or to Ethiopia or Uganda, which is completely crazy. So we decided to focus on that issue, and the issue is really it's really complex. The technology I would say is just 10% of the solution. 90% is the people. So the regulators, people need to understand. Karim started with one anecdote about us. We have been working with one of the largest banks on the African continent, and we started like 6 years ago. They didn't just get it, and today the first results are there, and people are seeing what I was talking about 6 years ago now. So, and to solve that issue of moving money across the continent, there are two, I'll say 3 levels. We have international money inflows and outflows, like money transfers or money coming from outside the continent to the inside, and then movement between African countries internally, and then the last mile. So, okay, I'm sitting in let's say Abidjan, and I want to move money to Bouaké, another city in the same country. Yeah, so there are really multiple levels. So today we are focusing on the last mile first. So we decided to start from the opposite. We started from the beginning, like international, and we faced a lot of problems along the way. And so now we decided to restart everything from the last mile. And the last mile is mainly built by informal businesses, as Karim was saying at the beginning. Like 80% of our African economies are built and supported and carried by the informal sector. And this informal sector on our continent, the mobile money is the #1 now way to move money across the continent, and I would say the backbone for that success. It's not the technology, it's not the big mobile operators, it's really the informal mobile money agents. You know, when you are in Addis Ababa, you like to load your account, or when you're in, I don't know, in Douala, you want to load your mobile money account. You don't go to the bank, you don't go to the mobile operators bank, you go to the informal mobile money agents. And these people are really, you know, they carry our whole economies. And we decided to focus on them and digitalize the way they work. You know, it was really manual, like they have to dial a lot of codes to execute transactions every day. So with a lot of problems, you know, they carry a lot of cash, etc., etc. In 2020, they processed like $44.5 billion per month during COVID. Cannot imagine, it's just crazy. $44 billion every single month. That's the reality in sub-Saharan Africa, but it's just a big mess because, as Karim was saying, it's just informal. And closing with the answer to your question, Landry, I think we Africans, we don't necessarily need the soft landing. Because when I flew from Douala to Marseille, the government didn't know about me. I didn't ask the government to give me a permission to buy my flight ticket to go to Marseille. Why would I need the government to help me go back to Douala? So I think that's also one of the things that we need to, you know, upgrade in our diaspora minds. Because I know we diaspora, we always like, you know, beating our leaders, like, oh, organize everything for us, do this, do this, do this, do this. It's a little bit like us, we have been living in a big city, let's say Dakar, and then we go back to the village, and then we start complaining that there's no hot waters in the village. And then he said, no, chief of the village, we need hot water because I'm used to do hot waters in a big city. No. I think we have to be really humble. Humility is really the key word, because when I decided to go back to Cameroon, you know, I was so challenged. I was like, wow, how am I gonna do this? And the key word is humility. You have to go back to the village, talk to the old people and say, I'm coming back. I don't know how to do this or that. I need your advice, help me. And as Karim said, everything is informal. I say, if you want to succeed in Africa, everything is informal. And these old people, these people are on the ground every day. Even like the young kids can teach you a lot of things. So be humble, go back. Don't come with your, you know, all your euros, because you will think that you have a lot of money, you have a lot of things to teach them because you flew through a plane, you know, you took the plane and then you came. No, have to come and come low key, really low key. You go low key, you go to the old people who know how things work in the country. You explain your project, say, hey, I want to do this. I'm really frustrated by this or that, and I need your support. And that's my way of doing things. And the results are there. We have been growing like more than 10,000% during the last 6 months. And that's just the numbers that we decided to display to show. We are doing a lot more than that, but I can't tell you the real numbers now, but it's just amazing. And this is because we are working with the local people. We are not there to teach them how to do their business. We are there to learn from them and then improve what they are doing with the knowledge that we got from abroad. So that's my 2 cents for the topic.
Oh, okay, great. So thank you very much, Cedric, for your testimony. Let's not wait for the government to give us soft landing mechanisms. Let's take our flights and head home. I think that's something we definitely need to tell more and more people because to deal with all these issues. But I think also when we go back, we've been talking about networks, building bridges, and all of these things. But I also think, I mean, when you go back to when you come to a new country, because I like to think when you go back to when you go to a country, even if it's your home country, when you go there for vacation and when you go there as a business person, those are two different facets of a coin. I mean, when you've never done business in a country, even if you are from that country, you don't know the country at all. So when you go, you need to build a new local network and all of the things. So how did, let's say, for example, Karim, you've been on the continent back for like 20 years or so. How do you start building a network in a country, even if it's your home country, when you don't have any, when you're coming back from Canada or from France, you have a business idea, you want to launch a new venture in the country, create jobs. How do you build a network from scratch when you're from the diaspora?
Mike.
It's a tough one, I say, but this, I mean, it's what I said. You come and actually, as an entrepreneur, it first depends on your project. You need to see other entrepreneurs to exchange with them with humility, as Cedric said, to say, how is the business here? What you're suggesting? This is my business. So one thing also is the first thing is to be open. The thing is when you come and you want to hide your idea because you think someone can steal your idea, I mean, don't go for business. Because first, if someone can steal your idea just because you talk with him, you don't have a business. I mean, you have something, but the value is very little. I mean, you're just doing trading or I don't know. Yeah. So, but if you have a real business with a real idea, this is perhaps the first test. I mean, and then you can exchange with people and the thing is, an entrepreneur with his idea, even if we talk to someone and even we go for a workshop in one day, he don't give all the ideas he has in his mind because he's living with it every day. So you have so much in his head that makes the difference because there's so many different ways to implement this business. So you can't somehow take the project and run. The facility is there. So so that's the first thing. So you need to be open to talk to others. You need to see and go to every part and master. I mean, your subject. If you have your client is in the village, as Cedric says, I mean, and you stay with the climatization and the aircon in the capital, I mean, your project is dead because you don't know your client. So you need to, it's tough. You need to go there, take time, understand, and try, you know, and discuss with the people there also. So that's, you can face so many issues, even cultural issue in your own country. And we know that the diaspora, sometimes they say we are from there, but they lost a lot of things, you know. So it's very hurting also. We need to be prepared of that because actually you're a foreigner in your country somehow. So you need to relearn to be from there and be African, and that's sometimes tough. I even have seen some people from the diaspora who grew up abroad who even say things if we listen to it was coming from a French guy or others, they would say this guy is racist, you know. So this is terrible, you know. So this is also what perhaps then you have the issue of the people. You need to find the right people. You need to find the good partner. Don't go too fast. Take your time and no rush, you know. And be be open and try to move and take the insight, exchange with other diaspora, because there is more and more. Because the more people crazy there are, the best it is, and that's also a thing. Because one thing is sure, there's not the same mindset. So we need to find people, and that's also why we create those hubs, is to say where we can have a place where people can exchange and have the same mindset, and then develop their business together, because they also give tips to others on how to move and how to understand, how to decrypt this thing or another, you know. So that's but there is more and more. I mean, network like Adife, there is more capacity for that. You see, we can exchange from internet. So now, I mean, it's really the time for the diaspora to have that opportunity. So they need to take it, and then humility is more, because it's the more you go deeper with your project inside the country, inland, the more you don't know anything, and the more, and as Cedric says, it's 54 countries Africa. So I mean, even if we have some similarities, I mean, making business in Ivory Coast is not making business in Senegal, even neighboring country, you know, with Mali, even making business in Cameroon or in South Africa. So I mean, then don't say, hey, I know I've done it in Ivory Coast, I will do it in Senegal. No, go and try to understand if you can implement it. Perhaps you need to personalize and change some few things. So that's also something you need to be aware of, and don't come and run, as I say. And the people is key for sure, and especially for the digital world. That's a big problem. I mean, we know that there is a shortage of talent everywhere, and that's a big issue actually, because then you need to find people to have the skills to do what you want to do, and there is not so much. So sometimes it's even more expensive in Africa than you can find somewhere else, because there's few people who have the talent, and everybody is fighting for them, or even just they leave and they go to France or US or other countries. So that's why also we engage myself with one talent to bring talent in Africa, and to build new training centers, innovative one. Actually, we call it collective intelligence center. So to bring it everywhere. And the thing is, that's why I say the spirit of being in a network. I mean, the thing is, we are not building something for Africa. It's something for the world, and Africa is part of the world. So the same center we have, like in Estonia, in Finland, or in UK, will be the same in Senegal, in Cameroon, or in Congo. So we are not. We really prepare world-class developers, and so they can work from their country everywhere in the world. So we need to go also for those kind of big projects to support our ecosystem, because if we don't, we will have problems.
Thank you very much, Karim. So if I can summarize, you said be open, be humble, the right people, the right talents, and plug to existing hubs and networks also. So this network thing is quite central, and something I picked also from what you said is today we can make the networks lively with the use of the internet, right? This was accelerated due to the pandemic that had all of us stay back at home, and we were obliged to be able to continue networking with all of the digital tools that we are having today. Some of them are being proposed by what they often call big tech, big corporations from the private sector. So my question goes to Ayman. Thank you. You could foresee that. What do you think can be the role of this big international digital platforms like Facebooks and the likes, in building these bridges between the African diaspora and the local economic ecosystem. I know Facebook does already a lot of things, Google does already a lot of things, as per Oracle also, as per training local developers, helping businesses, setting up hubs. But I mean, what is the benefit for, I mean, how do you guys engage the diaspora as per, I mean, contributing in the local economic environment?
Sorry, I don't want to talk too much, but I give you a short example. We were a partner of Google, and when I went to the Google Center, I was in contact with some Senegalese from the diaspora who work there. Actually, I say, hey, I'm there, you can come, and the guys come and call me and say, can you come out because I can't access to your place. The place is for the invitee, and we can't access as people are working in Google. So that means, and when I take care, I see people from the security everywhere, and you pay attention, and then they make your program, you know? And we have people who are there. That means they have their own agenda. So this is fair. I mean, but we need to get that in mind. They're not there just because we are very wild and they like black African, you know. They're there for making money, and actually they are taking the control of it. Now there is a new economy that's emerging, and they want to take the lead. And we see now the fight there is between the Chinese, between USA, and for the control of the technology. So where are we as Africans? That's the question. Even Europe don't know where they are. So we really need to question ourselves and be careful, because then you come and they take your idea. They will buy it. And the more we're talking about funding, the fund now, where is the fund? We're talking about some unicorn in Africa. Where are they? The unicorn is from the US. You should take care. I mean, so we need to think more clearly on what we're doing and what we want to achieve and where we are in this, you know, and just not running very, you know, like we are in a very super world where everybody is cool and kind, you know. So that's a big issue, I think.
So thank you, Karim. Let me jump in. You know, like one of the things that I'm always asked is like, how can the AU help the diaspora? How can, I don't know, Google help the diaspora? It's very similar to what Karim is saying. How can the diaspora help themselves? This is the first question, right? Like, and I always use this analogy of, you know, Cedric was saying Air France. If you're in Air France and there are turbulations, they'll tell you, put your mask on before helping anybody else. Put your mask on. You know, we are in a digital world. And one of the most interesting things, not just in Africa, but in the diaspora, is that many diasporas living all their lives in Europe don't even know how to make use of basic internet services. That's why when you look at WhatsApp is the most used service between the diaspora, because it's so easy to be used. Facebook is easier, it gives you more access, they don't use it. So the first thing I would say is that really get the digital literacy. I think that we have so many diaspora. The reason why remittance is still informal is not just because of the cost of remittance, but because when the pandemic hit, a lot of people who are first generation find it much easier to go to a shop, negotiate, and then send the money. They know the risk, they know the challenges, but they're still willing to do it. And during the pandemic, they couldn't do it. So I would say, like, again, we're speaking about this network, and it's always what I speak about, but we need to arm ourselves with knowledge, right? Especially young people in the diaspora. If they're the ones who have all of these facilities in front of them and they can't use it, why are we even complaining about Africa, right? Like, so they have so many facilities and they still can't use the internet. So I think the digital literacy is one important thing that we need to focus on and do, and just reflect to ourselves. Other things that I think would be important when we're looking at these big companies is look at the next revolution, right? So we're always missing out on big industrial revolution. They said that we missed out on it. We know that the next revolution is a digital revolution. Facebook has actually spoken about something called the metaverse. And I would say that what Karim and Cedric have been saying have been giving me a lot of ideas, but one of the things about it is, where are we when we speak about fast internet, AR and VR, artificial reality and virtual reality? Who are the experts in Africa? If we don't have experts in Africa who are willing to do that or who have the knowledge to do that, it means somebody will do it for us later on. So we need to be ahead of the curve. And I think that, again, what sort of support do you want? Like, again, I spoke about networks of partnership. What do you want from that partner? As a business, if I have a business that I'm worried about, if somebody wants to give me money, I'm not going to give them a stake of the company unless I know what they're giving me, how I'm benefiting, and what they're going to get in return. So I think we need to come ready to these conversations. And I think now that we know the sort of revolution that is coming, the question is, are we armed or not? Do we have the people who have the skills? If we don't, then maybe skilling people is our number one priority. If we have some people who have the skills, then again, let's get these people, create that network and start arming them to be able to get employment, to be able to design the next revolution for our countries. But just going and saying, what do you have to give us? Again, is that beggar mentality, which I hate, right? Like we can't have a list of things like, oh, they need to give us this and this and that. You already have tools, use them and use it for negotiation. These are the first things that you use when you're going into any negotiation. So that's what I would put it at. Let's create these knowledge networks and let's create these, talent networks that Karim was speaking about, and let's do it. And Cedric was saying something, and Cedric, like, honestly, I love the work you're doing. One of the things that recently I've been working on, I'm Sudanese, and one of the things we had is that we've been under sanctions for over 30 years. Today, actually, we also have a revolution for 2 days where there was a military coup. But you're thinking about Sudanese, and Sudanese have been outside the banking system for over 30 years. When they said that we're out of the sanctions and banking systems are going to go back to normal, it's taking such a long time, and it's going to take time to rebuild this relationship. And businessmen and entrepreneurs who've created these networks worldwide where they can send and receive money are asking, why do we need to prove ourselves to a system that doesn't believe in us? They limit us in money, the charges are going to be so much. And one of the things that Sudan still can't apply to cryptocurrency or download any app of cryptocurrency as of now. But the question is, is cryptocurrency something you're thinking about or doing? We saw that Nigeria launched the e-Naira. We know that some countries are officially using it. And I personally think that it's such a cheap way and fast way of sending money. And again, we think about this revolution, and I'm thinking, how do we use it, right? Because when we look at everything digital, there are so many ways of using it. So do you still think that we need to look only at mobile money, or is there a next thing that we need to do? And I know that I put this question, but it's just I think this was also meant to be a conversation about not just soft landing, if there is anything like that, but also, leapfrogging into the future. So I'll pause here.
And just before Cedric answers, that was my question towards Cedric, by the way, because and I really pretty much like your comments and those of Karim, because I think we definitely need to have this honest conversation as pair. This is where the world is going. This is how people are drafting the course of the world. How are we positioning ourselves in this? Today we are going for a digital revolution, but what is our agenda in this digital revolution? We are seeing an uptake of digital solutions on the African continent. What are the opportunities for us? And what are the opportunities we should be willing to engage on, and those we shouldn't be looking at? Because everyone putting all these new solutions out there, AR, VR, even climate tech and all of the things, they are pushing their agenda to answer to their own questions and problems locally, but we might not be facing the same issues. So maybe this is a question for Cedric to broaden a little bit on the crypto versus mobile money conversation. Is from your perspective, what do you think has to be Africa's agenda and opportunities as per the digital revolution we are currently living in?
Thank you so much, Iman, for the question, and also Landry. You know, that's a tough question. It's a tough question because it looks too easy to answer. Like, okay, you know, we have a lot of problems. Crypto is easy. Let's jump to crypto. You know, crypto is accessible to everyone. But as I said, what I have learned during the last 7 years of full-time entrepreneurship is really like humility in front of problems, because the problem that you see as easy to solve from very far, when you start coming close, becomes really complex to solve. And that issue, as I told you, is 10% technology solvable and 90% depends on people. And people, you know, for example, on the crypto topic, we have 42 central banks on the continent, and not all of them have found a consensus on how they look at crypto. You know, today Nigeria is a very funny, to me, it's a very funny example, because a few months or years back, they decided that Bitcoin is illegal in the country. That's the central bank. They say, oh no, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, illegal. Boom. Kenya did the same. Oh, BitPesa, you're enabling Kenyans to use M-Pesa to buy Bitcoins. They will fly our money out of the country. Illegal. Boom. And now, if we extend it broadly, Visa, we're working with Visa right now. It's really funny, you know, in the last 5 years, Visa decided that, oh, no, cryptocurrencies, we will block all the cryptocurrencies platforms that are accepting payments through Visa cards. We don't want to deal with that. We don't want it. At the beginning, Stripe, that is one of the largest payment gateway in the world, today was pushing crypto, and then they stopped because Visa was one of their shareholder and board member. And then today, as we're speaking, Visa is one of the largest tech department at Visa is cryptocurrency. Yeah. So this is just to give you an idea of how things move, and people are not really 100%, you know, the consensus is not found yet. And us as a technology platform, I would say I describe myself more with my team as problem solvers more than technologies and all those things. I really focus on problems, so I don't focus on the technology. The idea is, okay, Sudan has been locked out of the banking systems for years. Things are coming back, thanks to God, to normal now. What are we going to do now? What's the next steps? How are we going to get these people included? What are the real challenges behind the fact that Sudan is coming back to normal? To me, the first issue that I see is, okay, how people move money internally, like the last mile I was talking at the beginning, the last mile, I would say delivery of money, the logistics, the financial logistics locally. How can somebody in the north send money to somebody in the south in the same country? So in the same regulation, etc. Internally. And then once we solve that issue, and I see mobile money as a very good solution to solving that internal local issues. So that's where I think it's very important to include all the actors. We need to work with banks, with mobile operators, with all the stakeholders. It's a tough conversation because they have different, views, they have their interests, etc. But this conversation needs to keep moving forward. So we need to bring all these people who are on the ground. As you said, nobody's gonna come solve our problems. We need to, to solve our problems ourselves. And who better than us in Sudan to solve these problems? Instead of taking, a Chinese cryptocurrency or Bitcoin or whatever that is built by Facebook or Google or whatever, I think mobile money, and when I say mobile money, it's not only with mobile operators, it's really for all the stakeholders, so mobile money operators like banks, microfinance, etc., fintech, local fintech companies, that is to bring them together. And that's also a way to empower the local central bank, because central banks, they're used to just writing laws and say, no, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. No, that is also for us to bring solutions. So say, okay, hey, central banks, this is what we have achieved in DRC, and I think could be applicable in your country. I know it's challenging moving from a 30 years ban, etc., to like restoring the country 100%. It would take time, and we are here to support you. We are with you. That's the conversation that we have to have with the central bank, to help them rebuild the country as fast as possible, because they cannot do everything by themselves. So that's the first step. The second step is that, okay, we have local companies that would like to trade with other countries around, say Kenya, I don't know, Ethiopia, etc. We need to find, because we don't develop a country just from the inside. We need to trade with other people. China did it, like, I don't know, after the wars, where they locked themselves in, and then they tried to rebuild everything. We are in a new era. We really cannot do it today. We need to find ways to trade with other countries around us. And now the question comes, like, how can I move money from Sudan to Cameroon? And then maybe cryptocurrency can start playing a big role. But for that, the Central Bank of Sudan needs to agree, and the Central Bank of Cameroon needs to agree on that. And if we decide to go, I would say, the revolutionary way, because we always have that part of the cryptocurrency say, no, we will get rid of the government and buy Bitcoin and trade internationally without the government noticing. But the issue with that is, first, money will fly out of the country. We saw the example with Zimbabwe, where the local currency just crashed completely, and then people started going. So that's the role of the government. The government, we need the government. We need the central banks, and what they need is our support. We need to find ways to make them more powerful. And today, if a country like China is able to say no Facebook in China, no Facebook no Google in China, no Microsoft in China, it is because the government is strong. And the government is strong because the people, I'll say the billionaires, and the people who are in the country makes the government strong. And that's our role as African diaspora. So we need to come back home, make our government strong, and empower them, give them the possibility to build these tools. Because if we don't do it, somebody else will come do it, and money will fly out of the country, and then we'll have the situation of Zimbabwe. And this is not a good thing. And lastly, the last step is how, as African diaspora, how are we pushing money to the country? I started with moving money inside the country, then trading with the other countries around the country, and then how, as diaspora, we push money to the country. And that's how our governments become also strong, because we are sending foreign currencies to the country. And the more foreign currency we have, the more we are able to respond to situations like the pandemic that we are just in right now. Because if I'm to buy, I'm the government, I'm the president of the country, and I'm to buy face masks for my people. And to buy the face, I don't produce face masks. And to buy the face mask for my people, I need USD. I need a USD, the currency USD, because the people who are selling the face mask will not take my local currency because they don't know about it. So I need foreign currency like euros or dollars, etc. And if I don't have these euros and dollars, I won't be able to respond efficiently to a similar situation. And we have, for example, we need to buy. Sometimes we face like terrorism and all those things on the continent. The government needs to be strong to protect the population. Because imagine we are all cryptocurrencies, and then boom, we have a terrorist attack, we have a pandemic attack, etc., etc. And then somebody needs to respond. Who is going to respond? Are you gonna contribute and send your Bitcoin to a big wallet to buy face masks, to buy guns, to protect the population? No. That's the role of the government. And we as entrepreneurs, ecosystem builders, etc., we need to support our local governments. And the next step will be to say, okay, we empower you, look at cryptocurrencies, then progressively they need to bring them to a consensus. Because today we still have countries in Africa who say cryptocurrency is illegal. Others are like middle, half, and others are say, okay, it's a good thing. And we need to bring them at the same level to start thinking Pan-African, stop thinking at the like local country level. We need to start thinking Pan-African. And for that to happen, we need that consensus. So that's my stake. We need, of course, we need cryptocurrencies, but we need to empower our people. We need to empower our government. We need to empower our central bank and help them rebuild our countries like Sudan. Yeah. Landry, your mic.
Oh, sorry. Thank you very much, Cedric, for your thought around this African agenda around digital revolution, especially financial services and adoption of crypto. I'm sure the regulator in Nigeria, we just learned the guys in Ghana who are about to launch the ECD will surely be willing to listen quite well, empowering our people and giving them access to. So, I'll just ask each and every one of you, like in the 1 minute roundup around your thoughts. I mean, your thoughts around Africa's agenda as per the digital revolution, because like Karim was saying, the digital revolution is going to put a lot of pressure on everyone as per talent. There is a huge war on talent today happening. I was reading an article sharing how Kenyan startups are being sucked out of all their talent and engineers. IT engineers in Kenya are leaving startups to go work for big corporates in the US or in Europe. Same thing happening in Nigeria, same thing happening in Ghana. So there is a huge shortage of talent. And this is where, and I'm like, maybe this is something like the African diaspora as an opportunity can really tap into coming back on the African continent and having and engaging and bringing back their knowledge locally. But really, like, what should be like our agenda as a continent regarding the digital revolution? On what opportunities should we position ourselves, and how can we engage everyone as a continent? Let them be people on the continent and also outside come together toward this. How can we come together towards fulfilling this agenda? So in 1 minute per person, please, because we're already running out of time. Maybe we can tell you.
Well, I think the easiest thing, of course, is to say we can maybe create that audit of skills we need to build, if we can. But I would choose 1 to 3 skills and create that network similar to what Karim was saying, that collective of intelligence or innovation, like create that collective. And each one of the diaspora, African diaspora, and by the way, I don't think the African diaspora need to come back home. Sometimes having ambassadors outside and having a voice outside is so important, you know? So just knowing that and having somebody in these places who understands the knowledge. But the one thing that I think is a responsibility, until a network is created, each one teach one. That is not hard, you know? Teach 2, teach 3, but each one teach one. And you can do this digitally. Let them read things, you know, practice. If it's about coding, it's about skills. Like, I think these are the things that we as diaspora, and I support that knowledge transfer of diaspora from wherever they are. And I do think it's a skills revolution. That is the one thing people are speaking about. There is no talent, because honestly, like, of course, the power is there, the minds are there, but the exposure isn't, and they don't know where to look. So I think that you as a diaspora should help that compass, show them where to look, what is available, and help them develop. So I would say each one teach one until we create that network. And by the way, this is an invitation for us to create a network, about this AR, VR. Happy to do this offline, and just so that we can create that revolution as we go forward.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Amen. Each one teach one. That's a great great word. Maybe Karim?
Thank you, Landry. I think when the diaspora see the continent, it also, again, come with humility. It's not superior from those who are here. And even his knowledge from the one we found locally. So we need to be open. There is different type of knowledge. We are discovering it. And so we have to be careful on that. But I can extend on that from my experience, but we go short. I believe in networks. I believe in community, and as Eamon say, it's not everybody who needs to come back. When you have someone who is a top talent in intelligence artificial, like in Canada, you want to bring him back. You will spend more time to explain to people what is the intelligence artificial to work on his project. So then he will lose his capacity, and he will lose his connection with all this network that is feeding him. So what we need is to be connected to him so he can feed the continent. And he keep his network. So that's how the network is going. It's Étoile. I forgot the name. The spider networks. So, and that's what we need to build. That's what internet brings us, the capacity to do that. And I think slowly but surely we're doing it. And when we are all coming around Adife, we agree to come and act like that. We become a kind of cluster of clusters and network of clusters. So the more we go and what we do, and we don't have to organize too much. The cluster of innovation is not organized like that. It's organized by thematics, by things, but then it will cross on several things. Who is in the thematics? Who is an entrepreneur? Who is more interested in the francophone? Or who is more interested in this and that? So we need to have a kind of chaos that can be organized. That's the main difficulty. So you need a few people to organize it. And that's what behind the idea of JocoLab. We don't care about building hubs. The idea of around those hubs is the community. And actually, unfortunately, people don't understand that need of community when they start. And thank you, Cedric, for what you do. Why I say that is because you are doing the giving back. I see you a lot of giving. Example for the young entrepreneur, giving your experience, sharing, and things. We need more entrepreneurs do that, even for those with success. Because then we engage those, and it's the start of one teach other. So we need to do that more. Landry, you give time for that. So that's where I start, simply, and then we connect, and then we move together, because together we are stronger. 5 finger is stronger, and we can hit with 1 finger we can't. So that's simple.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you, Karim. Let's build networks. And on the giving back, I know you have been giving back already a lot. Cedric, 30 seconds, please. 30 seconds.
Let's go back home. Let's just go back home, because we cannot solve problems in the village without going to the village. Let's go back home. Let's stop. I want Facebook to, they pay you a lot of money, but you sit at home in Africa. You travel to our African countries and share your knowledge with our people. Don't just share with Landry because Landry is coming from France. Let's stop hanging out, just be together, people from Europe. No. Let's go back home. Let's sit home with a lot of humility. Let's go to the village and teach what we have. India has been built by its diaspora. I think our voice, today we have the digital ecosystem, our voice will reach the people in the US and all this. So we don't need to stay in Europe no. That's where I disagree with both of you. Let's go back home. That's my last word.
Thank you, Cedric. Thank you very much, Ayman. Thank you, Karim. Thank you, Cedric, for making this. Thank you, Adife, for the platform. Really, I know you guys are doing a lot of work coming up with this conference. Thank you, because we need more and more of this platform to be able to exchange ideas, to really like foster and create a new pathway for the development of our continent. Like Ayman says, let's knowledge transfer. One teaches one. Karim said, let's build a community. Cedric said, let's go back home. I think all of this comes, all of this are pretty much interconnected. And thank you once more for being here with us.
May God bless all of you. Bye.